Hi, and welcome to this concept searching demo on demand, compliance, removing false positives. Today I'm going to show you how to remove false positives from classification in a compliance-based scenario. False positives are a massive problem for many tools that are built to do this kind of file analysis. And most of them don't have any kind of mechanism to help you remove those false positives. In some scenarios, more than half of the content you're scanning can be matched as a potential sensitive piece. And this is really no value whatsoever because now you're looking at half of your content manually. So the issue is that you have data rules that are going to try to classify that content, but many times those data rules are overly simplistic or non-configurable. And they generate a lot of matches for saying that they have sensitive data when it's really not sensitive data. conceptClassifier has a built-in mechanism for identifying these false positives and dealing with them. And we're going to go through a 5-step process today in our demo to show you how to investigate your matches, check the categorizations they're in, modify your clues to improve the fuzzy matching to get a better match and remove false positives, and then work with some working sets to try to do some automatic improvements and kind of train the system to help itself. And then iterate that process until we have exact working set that we want. So let's have a look. So here in my demo, we can see I have my taxonomy. I've got my PII taxonomy, and I've got the Canadian driver's license here, and I want to be able to find driver's licenses across my content. I found 7 of them according to the system. Out of the box, concept searching comes with a bunch of different built-in rules that allows us to match different things. But you notice some of them may not be that great, like DL. This is a very common phrase that appears with driver's licenses and on driver's licenses, so we have that in there, but it might not be giving you the best matches. We have a lot of them available as well, including some hierarchical with all of the regex terms for driver's licenses in those places. So what we get is we get some things that sometimes are obviously, this is a extracted image, obviously not the right terms. So what do we do in order to remove this? Well, the first thing we can do is choose one of them that we think is maybe not the best and find out what the calculations are for that specific item. So let's just choose this top one because it's pretty obviously doesn't have any driver's licenses. We can see in our clues what clues have matched in order to build that term set, our term values up. That it's matching as a British Columbia driver's license, but we're also getting this DL term found a lot in there. So we can go back to our clues and manipulate those a bit. So we want to go to the term clues to the top and say maybe we'll reduce, we can either do things like this DL one I don't think is that interesting, so I might just delete it. But other ones that might be hitting like DLS or CDLS, maybe we just want to reduce the value. Now, we notice this value comes to 50, and this is actually an ISO standard. And you can see this in our score info here of what kind of values we need in order to make a hit. So you can actually increase or reduce these so that you can get a better match for these different terms and match those. So we might just want to reduce this one to say 5. It doesn't get that or 4 or 5. It doesn't get that much value if it's found, but the other ones get more value. Once we got that, we can reclassify. It's very easy to reclassify. We just go to our sources, find the section that we want, or we can even go to very specific subsections and just click reclassify for that. It's going to go out and reclassify the content that's in that specific section. So we can immediately, we don't need to go out and crawl the content again. We can immediately get another reclassification and check whether these positions and these documents change. One other thing that we can do in order to improve this is to add these items to working sets, either positive working sets or negative working sets. And I can do that very easily in this UI. This is positive working set and this is negative working set. And I might say, this is not a good document, so I'm going to quickly add that to a negative working set. What this means is that all documents that have a statistically similar values and content to this one are now going to give a reduced value. So we can do that with a lot of different things. So first step, of course, is to investigate your matches. Look at the browse section. Find out what has matched. Check your categorizations. So you can look in your calculations here to see why it was categorized that way. You can also check in the information tab what other categorizations were made for this document. Next, you can modify your clues. So you go back to your clues here and remove some that are generating noise that you could see in that classification. So maybe ID is not good. We'll just delete that one. We don't like it. And the next is to work with your working set. So add those documents that are not good to the negative working set and documents that are good to a positive working set. And then you can work with your working sets here to find out exactly what you have in those working sets. And then finally, iterate. Reclassify, as I mentioned, and go through again and find out what has been changed, moved, and then try it again. You can actually also check the related documents, and you can also see the movements of the specific documents when they've been reclassified. So which products do we need for this? Well, we need conceptClassifier platform to do the classifications, and we need our classifications to be done in that product. That's basically all we need to do. And what are our benefits? Well, we get the ability to identify which documents are not good matches. So we haven't done anything automatic with them. We've just identified which things are good matches and bad matches. If we work with a specific slice of our content, we can get a very good set of rules and clues that help us to specifically identify those and not have any false positives. You always get a few filtering through, but our general purpose is to get as close to having none as possible. And say you have 1 million documents and 500,000 of them are false positives, it's really no good. But if you're down to a handful, 10, 20, 100, then you can probably deal with that. You can also see the classification calculations, which is extremely important, because if you can't understand what the system is doing, then you can't modify it. You can then modify the rules with clues to improve that matching. A very important part of the product as well. We want to be able to manipulate it to meet our requirements in our organization, not just apply something that we hope is either going to do it automatically or maybe one day learn to do it. You can also test those clues quickly. You don't need to re-index to get the classifications done, and you can do it on a very granular level to test whether those clues that you've put in are working. And of course, you can work with the positive and negative working sets to statistically identify good and bad documents. And that's it. Thank you very much for attending our webinar.